107. So the 107 is where your elder checks primarily are generated from, and those are non-taxable. If the Crow Tribe uses other revenue sources to make the elder payments, then it becomes taxable. So at this point, with legislation, JARS, securing these funds, last year we managed to make the elder payments, and then come this year, we recognize that when you start spending the money where it's entitled to or obligated for, such as the loans, it consumes that payment. So for example, 107 generates 2.7 million one annual year. In loan payments, we have 2.4 million. So that only leaves 300,000 of the 107 funds. Of that 107 fund, I've seen previous legislation saying that 107 is part of the legislative budget. I've also seen it as part of the judicial budget, as part of the executive budget. So we only have 2.8 million to disperse among all the things that recognize what it's for. But the finding of the settlement was youth and elder, education, economic development, land purchase, and then government other. So it's to be split among those 5 different payments. And to date, we haven't made those as such. Matter of fact, going back 8 years, it hasn't been spent that way. So when we started redirecting these funds to how they're obligated or allocated, that's what you're feeling today. We're finally spending the money where, with legislation where it obligates those funds. So if we don't make those loan payments, then that gives the bank some authority in capturing these funds, whether it's the land that they gave us a loan for to purchase, they can foreclose on those. It was even said as far as freezing all your bank accounts, tribes' bank accounts, if you won't make these payments. So the payments are the first thing we got to take care of. And the analogy I used during the prior district meeting was the Crow tribe had run like how all of us Crows use our funds privately. What happens is our boys make it to the state championship, say in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, anytime. The boys make it, the girls make it. Most of the community would not pay their light bill and use that money to make it to the tournament. And then when you get home, you got districts, divisionals, and then you got state. By the time state goes around, your light bill is ready, your light is already shut off. That's the same situation with the tribe. The tribe had some obligations, we didn't do it, now it's here finally. So we have to pay those obligations. As we pay those obligations, that's the growing pain that we're having, the responsibility of having to pay these. And so the question is, well, what did you do with the money? Well, what the chairmans did with the money was allocate those funds to keep programs going, to keep elders paid, to pay for the lights. And so that is an answer for the 14.5 million. So when you take the program money and start using it for other tribal operation stuff that's considered disallowed, now those things we have to pay back as well. So the responsibility here is we have to ensure that to keep these grants in compliance, we have to maintain paying their bills, paying their salaries. As we're decentralizing finance, that's the major growing pain. We've managed to segregate some of the bureau funds, some of the IHS programs, Office of Surface Mining. Now, where the buck stops is implementing this new finance system where those departments finally get to cut and create their own checks, do their expenditures firsthand, rather than bottlenecking in this centralized finance system. The centralized finance system's obligation that we set them per executive order is they would oversee and certify spending. So now what that does is it enables us to measure your directors And if your directors can't do their job, such as spending or reporting or running the operation, then we know that that wasn't the right person to employ there. But we're working with all the directors today to make this come into fruition or make this happen where they have real-time access to the bank account, and they're also producing their own checks, but those checks are certified and approved by the centralized CPA. So that's breakthrough, that's groundbreaking. So when the office says, what about our pay? Well, it's coming, but the sad thing is, it's not today. And working in conjunction with the legislature, we're hoping that we can take care of all these problems. There's immediate problems, and then there's also long-term problems. And so until we can get our head above water to tackle these immediate problems, the long-term is just lingering. And those long-term problems are your bigger financial issues. Whereas as leadership, you trusted us to not only handle your funds, the executive and legislature, but you also entrusted us to develop our assets. And if we don't develop the assets, then how do we truly create more revenue? Assets are anything from air, water, and then mineral, even the surface, leasing. So the more that we focus on our resources to develop, I believe that we can sustain the tribe. Currently, we've operated on coal, ConocoPhillips, and other lease revenues that kept the tribe somewhat afloat. But those funds ain't enough to sustain your obligations to the federal programs and your obligations to run the tribe for one fiscal year. So it's easy to look the other way and continue to use program funds and keep the tribe in operation. But the difficult task that we have today does not make very many people happy because we're breaking that cycle or that system of how it used to run, where we would take funds from other revenue sources or grants to keep the tribe running. And now you have $30 million worth of grants, but you can only spend maybe $12 million of it. So what about the other 18 million? So now decisions have to be made on, do you cut grants because you can't run them? Or do you go locate more funds so you can run them? Because all your grants are considered high risk. You have maybe 2 or 3 that are non-high risk. That's because of their success in reporting and submitting the 425s correctly. Travel. My latest tribal paid travel was testifying before Congress. And what we testified on was how to expedite development as far as mineral. Us, Pro-Tribe, you, Harvard University, and another representative of Indian Development is there to testify on behalf of trying to streamline permitting and all the necessary records for tribes to engage in developing resources. Prior to that, other travel I had were paid for by BIA and Rocky Mountain tribal leaders for budget meetings in Minneapolis and also DC. And I had one questionable travel that was to California to engage with Paramount Productions. How many of you in here have saw the movie Wind River? Anybody seen Wind River? Yeah. What happened there is the Eastern Shoshone tribe took through the BIA Guaranteed Loan Program to help produce that movie. So Paramount reached out to the Pro-Tribe and said, we're doing another movie on behalf of white ranchers adjacent to Indian lands, and we would like your support. So through them meeting us and documentation back and forth of agreeing to certain things, our Pro kids were showcased in the movie Yellowstone. So they wanted the leadership represented. So that travel was paid for by Paramount. And for I was really impressed with how they managed to use BIA funds to help a tribe in Eastern and Fort Washakie to take out a $30 million loan on behalf of the BIA, and then the tribe itself, first month, recoup that in the film industry. So that exploring that round was on behalf of government business, as well as being a supporter of our own people, being forecast in Yellowstone premier picture. And I believe Senator Hudson, he's also part of that. And so it wasn't like we went down there, like they say, Disney took first. We were there fly in, fly out. We just got to see the opening of the premiere, met all the actors, native actors. What was really neat about it is a lot of the folks in LA have a lot of respect for Plains Indians. And they gave us a tour of what they call Indian Alley. And when in Indian Alley, there's this big mural of Chief Pennington. And this is right next door to it. Some of you will remember the relocation. Yeah, relocation in LA, and that's where they painted this mural of Pennington. It's this huge, beautiful picture on the side of an old brick building. So that was, I needed to send a delegate, but all the delegates were pretty much tied up, and then a lot of them said they don't like LA, so I ended up taking that myself. Save Coal, Westmoreland's here to talk about. And we're currently, just a little briefly, renegotiating. As we know, the current contract with them and Sherco expires this December, so we're hoping that that doesn't lapse. If it does lapse, that puts the tribe in a tough spot, so does Westmoreland. Westmoreland will be in a tough spot. It requires executive and legislature to ensure that we could come up with the right formula to engage in this. We don't want to continue to reduce our royalties, just as we did 2 years ago. We'd like to ensure that we maintain or at least raise. But I believe Westmoreland was willing to sit at the table to discuss those. And then I also wanted the folks to know we advanced $11 million in the last 4 years, which is part of the negotiation. I'm asking that they take back that $11 million. That way we free up our asset rather than continue to have that secured in no development. All of us here today, elected and non-elected, also had given sacrifices such as salary. We all reduced our salary in the executive, from the chairman down to the vice secretary. We saw that with even down to payroll, we've missed a few payrolls waiting on our staff to be paid up, and the current status on that is this week with legislation approving $300,000 to the executive general fund to be paid up. That's good news for our employees. We also relocated our offices. For example, the WIC office was third-year deficiency. Upon this third-year deficiency, the WIC office was going to be relocated in Martin, and we said, why would you do that? I thought our reports were up. They said 4 facilities. So okay, so we went and toured the social service and the WIC office there, and that's when we recognized the roofs were leaking, the heat didn't work, a lot of mold. So I said, you know, this is a very good example of a program providing service to those. There's babies born every month. There's folks needing help with those types of services, from getting milk and TANF and all that from that service. So we relocated our office to Sun Lodge, and then we placed them into our office so that they would have correct facilities that the state would approve. Looking forward, we also have a solar farm to produce power for the hospital. We also have hydro power in Fort Smith, hopefully next year. That will be constructed. It's a 7 megawatt. We also have some current studies and plans of developing a wind farm in that area, about 150 megawatt farm. And then we also were talking of additional solar farms in certain areas. As far as youth camp is concerned, we recently had a youth camp revived again. So we took 80-something kids up there to ensure that they go through some programs with domestic violence and other cultural activities. We'll continue that in a couple weeks with our military contractor partner, who's also going to train on, say, survival skills, as well as leadership and a few other important things that our children would most possibly be interested in. So I believe I used up my 15 minutes. So at this time, I'll turn the mic over to Scott Russell and Aho for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you can see, our elected leadership is very busy. And right now, in prior, I mentioned sun dances are going on. Last week was first sighting. I was in the mountains, saw the youth up there, and it was really good to see that youth camp revived all the dwellings today. So the people that are working over there have done a really good job on rebuilding and remodeling our youth camp. At this time, call upon the Vice Chairman of the Crow Nation. He himself also has a difficult job, but he's very experienced in legislative matters, for being a former Speaker of the House. In his capacity, he has a seat at the legislature, and this is how our council, 2001 Constitution works. So without further ado, if you would help me welcome me to the podium, Vice Chairman Dookie Gozahead.
Stop. Good morning. Again, report ben Hakaji Mashna Nama. Report today would be sessions today. The sessions, part of the legislature to be there to vote on tiebreakers, and I exercised the tie-breaking vote for the AIG oil and gas exploration there in, I believe it was in April. Exercised the voting because it was a tie at the legislature for 7-7 was the tie vote and 2 abstained. So I voted for the public's right to know of this AIG. It's called American Indian China. And so it went to the public hearings to all the districts. So I voted for that because it belongs to the 14,000 Crows. That's why I did that, and there were other 2 reasons. Was the legislature didn't have a lawyer at the time. They were still screening, I believe, to hire a lawyer at the legislature. But now they do have a lawyer, so that was one of my reasons. And then I didn't read the document itself. I was handed the document not too long. It was on a Wednesday. I was given the document, and this was on a Friday to vote on this at the April session of the 2018 legislature. So I voted for the referendum vote, and I attended the prior meeting. And this is my own opinion, but the ones that got been asked that were there at the community center downtown Pryor, you never miss it, the blue tin building. And what I saw was that the majority didn't really want the AIG, they still wanted to know more. That's what I heard. And then I came to the one at Reno. That was a lot of people there, and I heard a lot of people that wasn't for the document itself, because it's actually about a 2-page document. And in my experience at the legislature, a document that usually comes is pretty thick, you know? And so Senator Paraguay State of Montana actually asked, her comment was, she asked a oil and gas lawyer of this document, and it wasn't really ready. There was a lot of questions that still need to be addressed in this document for it to pass. So, you know, I've heard different ones, but I saw a mix of people at that meeting here at the Reno Hall that really weren't for it. There are a few people that were for it, but I saw that the majority, in my opinion, that weren't for the AIG. And now moving forward, the legislature voted on the AIG this past July session, and they didn't pass it. So, you know, they speak for the people. So it didn't pass at the AIG. But I know that some of it's the people's right to go and sign signatures and get the people to vote on it. I believe it's on a referendum or an initiative. But the legislature already spoke on the AIG on behalf of the people because they are the voice of the people according to our Constitution. So anyways, I just want to say that. And then, you know, one of the areas that I've been designated was the Absalge Corporation for the C-stores. Well, we were working on that and made a trip to the Reservation Economic Summit there in March, there in Vegas, to network with other tribes that already have established their LLCs and their corporations to separate business from the government, to establish the board, to establish the policies, and to establish it. So we were networking. My chief of staff at that time was Noel Toolhagens, but he was relieved of his duties a while back. And so I'm without a chief of staff, but I do have a secretary. So I'm going to be working with the legislature on this Absalge Corporation with economic development, which would be Chairman Tubby Stone. So we're going to be, I still got all the notes and everything, and we still got some of the packets that we networked with people there at the Vegas trip. So we'll be sitting down and working on this, and hopefully we can get this done for the Crow tribe. We really do need this, separating the politics and the business so that we can move forward. That way, other tribes, that's why they're successful, separating business from the government. Right now, we're not there yet. We've tried in the past, but it doesn't work because we don't separate that as the business entity. And one of the areas is the board has to have a CEO, and it would oversee all the C-stores. For example, Milltail Market, the Crow Nation Express, and all the other entities, and they would go under this on behalf of the tribe. So it'll be separated, and then it would actually go to the legislature with the executive branch, and this board is going to be totally separated from business. It'll be a business entity, and that's why you see a lot of the other tribes are succeeding, especially in the casino. They're totally separated. There's just a fine example is Dr. Yarlett. He runs a business there, the educational business, at Ludwig Point College. That's why it's successful. You know, they're separated from the tribe, from the government. So that's how they thrive. That's how they become successful. So that's the big vision. That's how you and I, this tribe, is going to be able to survive and move forward. So when leaders, when they empower other leaders, we become successful. That's all leaders are successful is. Leadership is not power. Leadership is influence, no more, no less. It's a quote by John C. Maxwell. It's influence, no more, no less. It's not about power. It's about empowering other leaders so that they can be successful. So I just want to leave you at that, and that's about all I have for you. We will stay home.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Next on our agenda is the official record keeper of the Crow Nation. In his capacity, he also forms LLCs to start businesses. And this was passed probably about 10 years ago. And without further ado, if you would help me welcome to the podium, he is also a veteran of the United States Army, Rudolph Knut Olko. Mr. Secretary, if you would.
Ruska. Salve, Milka. Чего, наверное, наш туз, он look really good. First, I'd like to talk about the last General Council meeting back in January. There's a newsletter out there in front that gives you the minutes of that last council. So if you guys want to pack a copy of it, if they're out, Rosella will probably make some more. You guys can stop by in the office and pick them up if you want. But we did publish them back in February. My staff published them and distributed them to each district. We gave them to the legislature, and we had them on our tribal website and on the legislative website. So they have been available for your review. Any questions, you can come in the office. Second, in regards to elections, that's one of my duties, is administering elections. We had an election back in April. As you know, one of our fellow legislators passed away, and we had to fill that vacancy. So we took care of that, and Ellison Boyer was elected at that time. And another thing on the elections, changing districts, as you know, if you're in one district and you moved or transferred or whatever, and you wanted to change a district, those doors were closed back through legislation a while back, a few years back, but during every 4 years, once every 4 years, excuse me, you're allowed to change districts, and this year is one of those times right now. So we opened the doors back in June 1st, and you have until September 30th to change districts. New registrants aren't a part of this because you have young people turning 18, or some people have never been registered in a district, and those of you that are not registered in a district and do want to be registering in a district to vote for those districts. In regards to legislators' elections, the doors are always open to come to our office or on the day of the elections. So that's just a clarification for those of you that might not, that didn't know. Another delegation that I've been given is the land buyback. We've been busy with that, and they've been around, and there's been a delay. Appraisals weren't quite done, but they're supposed to be done here in August, I believe, due to the fact that on some parcels there was properties that were disallowed, but now they're going back and reviewing them, because there were some instances where there was like a grain bin or a haystack through satellite imagery where they thought there was a structure on there, so those were omitted. But at this time, all of those are being reviewed, which is taking a little bit longer, because during the January session, our council, I announced that offers would be sent out in June, but that has come and gone, and that's the reason for the delay. And we had a meeting with them last week in Billings at the area office, and at that time, they told us that offers should be coming out August or September, and they pushed everything back to November. So at that time, those of you that have parcel interest of less than 25%, it's still less than 25%. However, they're looking into, and there's Senator Tester, thanks to his help, he's been pushing to, and we've been lobbying with the people that are in charge of the Bureau, that, you know, it's defeating the purpose of those that have 25% or more that want to offer their land to the tribe, that they should be given that opportunity. But maybe that is better, that it's been extended so we can have more time to get our points across, so that maybe they can hear us and change that policy. Another thing I've been working on is the Cloud Peak Scholarship. Cloud Peak, as you know, is working with us in regards to opening up a new mine. I'm working on the scholarship part, and we had 2 students that went through this this past school tenure for diesel mechanic or welding, and those 2 students have done very well, and they're at this time got 1 more year, and this fall they're going to enroll 2 more interns, and they'll be going. Those are students that are enrolled in Sheridan College. So those of you that have maybe children, that young men or women that are interested in diesel mechanics or welding, that want a job or go back to school, require that skill, Cloud Peak has those scholarships. Not only with those not only with that co-op program, but also they have scholarships available for other venues or for other subjects that they might be interested in. It's very limited, but last year, everyone that had a completed application, we awarded them. It wasn't much, but at least it was something that they could use for their books or tuition. But we appreciate that. And another one is enrollment on at this time, I don't have oversight over enrollment, but we do keep on tabs of how many enrolled members there are in the tribe. At this time, there are 14,032 enrolled members, and that was from our last printout from July 12th. It might have changed a little bit since then, but at that time, and the general council members is 8,924. That's 18 and older, and this was as of July 12th. But as you know, there's probably some birthdays after that, and few more children born. Maybe on the enrollment part, there was that cutoff date. Those of them that made it might have added a little bit more. We just started working on the Northwest Energy Pipeline right away. That one, that's a gas pipeline that started in 2010. We've been working with that, and we have a transmission line also. And we're still in negotiations at this time with those. So at this time, I'll give the mic back to Scott, and I thank you and appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Todd Myers, welcome to Crow. You have a seat up here. Our next speaker is the Vice Secretary of the Crow Nation. He has been very active with the youth, once being a state champion coach. He's also a firm believer in cultural ways. He lives in Gario, and he's my neighbor. I see his smoke and his sweat every now and then. Probably seen it drive by. But he is a man of prayer. The Native American church is called upon throughout the United States to pray. So without further ado, please help me welcome Vice Secretary Sean Backbone.
Oh, ik nou hebben we graag bouwen Saulo que o é nunca ko is algo mais respeito ela que já ele disse ele não disse ele disse olha mais isso eu vou ter aí Deus eu moment of silence que ele viu aí ela né Saulo que disse per capita Saulo que olha eu acho que also capta mal vou go né is a war. You know, I guess moment of silence didn't you all go here. Oh, how did you get to the might go? You know, I wish he come up. Bobby is this, my gift book. Now, I'm a little short like a wee while, I go up Saulo, we up Saulo, and then we get Jaguar, we do up Saulo, good one. There, I guess, and a park ahead in the guy, so it is acid, he's away, a mile will go left. Hagalovish, go with you, God, Hagalovish, you always to me, again. When it's a bazaar, go leave my beautiful. Was got to Sagina, what price yard? A woggle play Raji. Yet an hour got it. And after Galavish, yeah, because you know, gotta go we got it. Okay, shot. All right, two. And I go all loose Simon. And he used to put the Bagaris, but for sick, Bagaris. It actually Nestle say, Oxford, I go, what guy came hold on, $1 billion for you 1 year. 1 year, $1 billion. They get canal, they get canal. But go shissus, you two go suck it, go pursue. But why must you? And I will is, Vegas lose. They are, you know, I guess the whole lot is called a canoe, a was to build. And I guess that there's a veterans village also to build. We want to go to the guys in the hospital. That's a also be like a chicken. It's chicken. Also, we're going to chicken now. Come on, it's 7. It was why he was going to suck. Bobby is to sell it, but one need to take my guys, and we have Saulo. I'm going to want it all, but if I can need to get to Bobby, you know, all back over. Bobby, which was suck, but because of Bobby, off with Bobby, they could off Bobby, I see a good no. I didn't taste my hip goodbye, but you can taste it. I guess what stuff house and how would you obey? What a size that was what to suck right to a jay dollars, eat till quite be sherry, and jay dollars, what I was in use, but I stopped on my head like a snow guides. You know, all this was what to suit, and I go report back, vehicle, park the guy. And New York, I office there, Swallow, like one, my big bullish, go holy. In economic development, bullish, of solid, go land buyback, of solid, go. And New York, New York, in that program, that I just display of a hooligan, which could suck him up to it, Bobby Mick, Canalo, he wants to eat Costco's, Shopco. But it's cool, but he might do. But it's forgot to get to it. But it is thoughtless. We got to look at it. Oh, we need to go. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Secretary. Ditchigate, Ashi, look at it. Well, this land is yours, this building is yours, our reservation belongs to the people. And I got the voice of the people who in his official capacity as the Speaker of the House in our legislative branch, call upon to the microphone here, Speaker Pat Baldwin Jr., if you would, welcome him to the podium.
Scott. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone here today. I know it's a Saturday, and let's have the senators recognize themselves and introduce themselves quick. So, senators, if you would just introduce yourselves, the district, and maybe a few words. So, starting with Senator Groban.
Thank you, Speaker. Senator Groban, Lodge District.
Marlon, not afraid, Recording District.
Galežník leží sapužil kvetuna ložu. Kihale wakti leží sapužil kvetuna ložu. No Crew Jr. Mighty few, he yoshigat by charge of legislature. Aho.
Nika Brahma, Middle District, Middle District is a home. What they will say home of the other person. You are chatting. You hear welcome. We can have a Mahale Hookshire of Milk, Yawmas, Mahale, Milk, Mohava Heritage of John Hand, Nashville, Cominu, you can get the town Paris, Nashville, Aho.
Allison Boyer, Recording District.
Harold Melbear, Mighty Few.
Hugh Whiteclay, Magloss District Rep.
Thank you, Senators. Like I said, some of them serve as committee chairs on various committees: economic development, health and human, judicial, natural resource. I know we have a few missing today, but majority is represented here today. The cabinet heads, I forgot to recognize some of the cabinet heads I see sitting out there. In my report as a Speaker of the House, I handle the day-to-day operations pretty much, and making sure that these committee meetings are set and we handle them in a timely manner. I had a report, we just finished our July session. So if you guys weren't aware, we just finished our July session. We went 2 weeks straight, every day meeting. And if you guys want to access those files on our sessions, they're available from YouTube or Facebook. We have a website. Also, we have a website at the legislative branch. If you guys need any information, that website is available to everyone. So, any questions, call the office, stop by. We have a staff there. Feel free to answer any questions. Get you guys copies of past legislation and bills. I'll go from April 2018, 27th special session. CLB 1801, budget amendment to include Battlefield Express loan for a total of $411,661. Then we went on to LR 1803, CEO Little Owl confirmation. So Sullivan was confirmed in the April special session, so congratulations on that. Also, Natural Resource Department Cabinet Head Thomas Tenber was also confirmed during that session. Confirmation of Gaming Commissions. JAR 1801 approving limited waiver of sovereign immunity Liberty Horn Battlefield concession contract. That was to deal with the Battlefield concession in the Okoback sovereign immunity contract. Next one was JAR 1802 approving limited waiver of sovereign immunity water resource CIP 40 Mile Headworks Improvement Project. There's a bunch of those little sovereign immunity waivers that judicial deals with, and they're in his committee, Senator Nonfree, so we dealt with a lot of those. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I've seen Chairman, President Chung Soo Mao here, Mr. Yarlett. Oh, I forgot to mention, I seen you here walk in, so. May 2018, May 7th to 15th, district public hearings to propose AIC legislation. A lot of you here are, I know our vice chairman was saying AIG, but it's actually AIC. I don't know where he got AIG from, but American Indian Chinese. That was a proposed legislation. That was in a May session. May 14th, swearing in for Bighorn Senator, our newly elected fellow Senator Mr. Boyer was elected, and our swearing in was May 14th. Next one was June 18th, June 7th special session. We actually, like they mentioned before, we were lacking a legal attorney, so we did eventually screen, went through a process, and we did hire a legal attorney for the legislative branch on Thor Hoyt, his name is, so we call him Legal Hoyt. Then the next one is LR 1808, confirmation of CCRO Director Jason Ward. So he's out there, that's Crow Coal Regulatory Office. Jason Ward's confirmed on that one also. Then also we had a confirmation of our appellate judge. We were lacking an appellate judge, so we went through the process of screening, and judicial sent some nominations, and so now our appellate process is in a full process, and that was Judge Kate Pitt. So we now have our appellate process is there. Next one was recognize, ratify Housing Authority Personnel Policy, Alcohol Controlled Substances. Then June 20th, we had an AAM presentation. That's oil and gas. June 21st, office closed, native days, deadlines. Okay, June 25th, deadline submit, nothing was submitted. June 25th was the deadline to submit bills for the July session from executive branch. Our Secretary of the House, Senator Decrain, he kind of waits on these days for these bills to be submitted at 5 o'clock. So there was nothing submitted from executive for July session on that 25th date. Then on the 27th, 2 days after the deadline, there was a special session request. That special session request was to deal with the LBB revenues that we did. I'll kind of explain a little bit on the LBB revenues a little bit from the executive proposed legislation to the to the legislature on the LBB revenues. So it came to our branch and committees, the finance committee. So we kind of gave them a counter proposal. The deal is if we JARs, Joint Action Resolutions, working with the executive branch, we sit there and we give them a counter proposal, asking, hey, this is these are some of the things that maybe the branch wants. For instance, the burial was a key one that we knew that was a lot of people don't like to talk about it, and we don't talk about it. That was something that was needed to be addressed, and it was brought to our attention every day. So we knew that was one of the priorities that we wanted to put on the list. Also, there was the other one we agreed upon with the chairman was Head Start. Head Start was a big one that we agreed upon. Also, seniors. Seniors was the chairman's proposal was for 2 months. 2 months proposal for seniors. So we said, hey, August is coming up right there. By the time this gets passed, August is going to be right there. So let's add another month. So we put 3 months in there and asked the chairman, so he agreed upon it. So we went with the 3 months. So that's why the seniors got the 3 months. We agreed on the 3 months. Trash. Trash is a big one too. Also, we get that every day. I'm sure a lot of these senators get that question every day. What are we going to do about trash? So that was one of the main points we wanted to add in there, to use some of that money for trash. Also, okay, yeah, we got trash, and then district funds. There was a little bit left after we divvied up everything to use that 875, I believe, correct, total? There was a little bit left over balance, so we said, hey, some of these districts their lights are shut off, their propane's not running, so let's help some of the districts out. Hopefully they can use a lump sum to go pay for get their lights back on and pay for their propane to get them through the winter. So we left a little bit there for districts also. think other than that, I just wanted to hit on a few other things. It's like I said, since the last report we had, it's been budget difficulties. As far as even the branch side, we've been struggling as far as paying our own payments. Whether it's we've been foregoing some of the payments as a branch. So it's just been same thing as the executive going through these budget difficulties. Like I said, hopefully the days are coming to an end on those budget difficulties. Like last council meeting, I said we can't move forward without communication, whether it's with our constituents, whether it's with the executive branch, whether it's with judicial branch, is we need to communicate. Sometimes that communication does break down. Then we're stuck. So I ask that we need to communicate to keep moving forward. That's just one big one that we cannot not pass on. And other than that, I don't have much more to report from other than just like I said, that special session report that was one of the big ones that we passed the LBB and got some of the elders paid. Oh, back pay was the one I missed too. We put those 300,000 that we knew some of the employees, executive was hurting. They had some of the back pays weren't paid 4 or 5 pay periods. So we looked at it and said, hey, let's throw some money to that back pay so some of these people can get back on their feet. Also, some are lights are shut off, some are without getting evicted, so maybe a pay period will help them out. So we asked that also be put in there. So other than like I said, questions, guys stop by the office, phone calls, internet. That's all I got for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good report. As we mentioned, everybody has questions. Saab and the tribe. We hear that a lot. There's no money. The tribe does actually have a lot of money, but it's been obligated for over the years, for over the centuries pretty much. To go out that obligations for decades and decades. We have someone that has understood the tribe in his capacity as an auditor, as a certified public accountant. He has worked with the Crow Nation well over 25 years. Many administrations have come and gone, and he's been doing the audits. People wonder who he is. People hear his name all the time. Well, I'm here to introduce you to Joseph Eve, who runs our finance department. So if you would, give him a welcome. Joseph Eve.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here before the members of the Crow tribe. As the introduction discussed, our firm has audited the tribe for over 2 decades. And then in fiscal year 2016, a decision was made to change auditors from the firm of Joseph Eve to Brady Marks. And that 2016 audit, your fiscal year ends on September 30th, 2016. And so that audit is due by federal regulation on June 30th of 2017. And Brady Marks was not able to complete that audit by the deadline. What happens when a tribal audit is late, there's no extension process provided for by the federal government. And so that audit was not submitted until May of 2018. And what happens is then the tribe is put on high-risk status. And as Senator Patrick Alton was discussing, a lot of the cash flow issues and the budget issues that are very tight with the Crow Nation. And they are very tight, and it's painful as tribal members because payroll gets cut, and then families are not able to pay their bills because wages are not coming in and so forth. And it turns into a very dire situation. So we were approached in February of 2018 to come in and help with the accounting. And and we were hired at the end of February 2018 and started at the end of February, early March of 2018. And when we were hired, the expectation that we tried to set is it's going to take about 12 to 15 months to get everything caught up and to help get the tribe back on a solid financial reporting perspective. So one of the first major tasks that had to be tackled was to get the books reconciled to the audit. And there were over 300 entries, if you can imagine, that were made to the books to arrive at the balances in the audit. And it was a very painful and time-consuming process, but about 3 weeks ago, Jamie Loran, who's with me on our team, and he understands the software that's used by the tribe very well, we were able to get those balances reconciled. So now we have balances that we can roll forward from October 1 of 2016 going forward. Because the next thing that needs to be done is the books need to be reconciled for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2017 to be able to issue that audit report. And the goal ultimately is to either have the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2018 audit filed on time, hopefully, and if not, at least the 2019 audit filed on time, and then the tribe would be taken off a high-risk status. And when you're on high-risk status, then that changes your ability to draw down on your grants and contracts, and it puts more financial pressure on the tribe. Looking at that 2016 audit that was issued, it's a very thick report, like this thick, and there's a lot in it, but I want to just touch on a few of the highlights. Cash management is one of the findings that the auditors had, and they were just talking about that the nation did not have adequate cash to cover a lot of their cash needs. And so one of their findings, 2016-004, was that the tribe's general fund had a negative unassigned fund balance of $20,401,000. So that means the general fund was negative over $20 million at September 30th, 2016. And so, to put that in perspective, the tribe is always scrambling to try and figure out how they're going to pay their bills. That's just like if your personal checkbook was negative, let's say $5,000 or $10,000. How do you pay those bills that are due? When we looked at the September 30th, 2016 audit report, we basically came to the conclusion that you had cash of $12,435,000. You had checks drawn in excess of available bank balances of $11.5 million. So you take the $12,400,000 less the $11.5 million, and then you had accounts payable of $15.4 million, and grant advances not spent of $10 million. So that basically puts the nation in a negative cash balance when you look at the general fund and the special revenue funds, the grant and contracts, at $24,575,000 at the end of September 30th, 2016. So just a very tough financial situation. Some of the other things, the general fund for the 2016 year had expenditures over revenues of over $5 million. So the general fund for that 2016 year had spent over $5 million more than revenues that came in. So it's just a dire cash situation. The 2018 budget, when you looked at that had a deficit of 16.7 million. In other words, expenses were more than revenues of 16.7 million. Some of the other areas in regards to 2017, the nation has still drawn down funds on 2017 grants and contracts that it's due. So we're trying to get those caught up as quickly as possible, and we've been making a lot of progress there. And then also working with the nation to reduce expenditures wherever they can. And then the leadership of the nation has been working very diligently on trying to identify additional revenue sources. So, and then some of the other financial issues facing the tribe. There's a lot of debt that's still out there. The Office of Inspector General on their audit of the transportation contracts is looking to recover $14.5 million. IRS is trying to recover $2.2 million between the casino and tribe for unpaid payroll taxes. BIA had a single audit collection notice for transportation for $1.9 million. Bureau of Reclamation, you probably saw the article in the Billings Gazette where the Bureau is trying to recover $4.7 million. And then question costs on the 2016 audit and some other issues. Question costs were $5.6 million. So that basically is about $33 million in liabilities. So just a lot to deal with. You know, a lot of things that have to be addressed over the next year. So your leadership basically, they have a lot on their plate, a lot to take care of. So I know it's not the you know, the kind of financial report I would like to give, but it is what it is, and it needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody had money questions, so I think he summed it up real well. We'd like to call upon the Honorable Chief Judge Leroy Notafrade. I don't think he's here right now, but we'll go on to the next person on our agenda. People wonder about our coal mine. Chairman alluded to that earlier. Next year, Sherco Mine, the contract ends. So šod mu rääkida, ka nokkas Vaamjul na government valista nokkas või vaakanaku France Greg Amisita või vistussa kiidussa nokka kukkamas tõusu nokkas alati küll kui valitsusse kehvad. We have a lot of different options as far as coal development, and to come share some of those options with you here today is Dave Kazara from the Sullivan Mines, Westmoreland, if you would. Welcome, Dave, to the podium.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Dave Kazara. I'm an environmental engineer at the Exalta Mine. On behalf of Westmoreland Coal Company, thank you for inviting us here today. Con and Mulaney, the mine manager, could not attend, and he asked me to present on his behalf. I had a PowerPoint presentation, but the lighting in here is probably make it pretty difficult for everybody to see it, so I'll just go off with the slides I have. A little history of Westmoreland. Westmoreland was founded in 1854 in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. It's the oldest coal mining company in the United States. They came out here west and partnered with Kewanee Oil in Virginia, and they also partnered with the Crow tribe to develop the Track 3 seeded strip. Ground was broke in 1972 at the Exalta Mine, and construction began as Morrison Knudsen, the contractor, also a mining contractor. First train left the site on July 1st, 1974. And in September 2007, Westmoreland Coal Company bought out the remaining interest of Washington Group International, and Westmoreland Resources took over the operation. 2006, we surpassed the 200 million tons pulled from the property. Just a little bit of information about the property. It is owned by Westmoreland Resources, a wholly owned subsidiary of Westmoreland Coal Company. Coal owner is the Crow Tribe Indians. Our lease is through the exhaustion of economical recoverable reserves. We mine sub-bituminous coal, that is 8,550 BTUs, and it's a low sodium coal. Our permit consists of about 7,000 acres on the ceded strip and another 3,300 acres on the Crow Reservation. A little bit about our employment. Currently, we have 152 employees at the mine site. There are 26 salaried folks and 6 female. Hourly represented is 126, and we have 5 female workers on the hourly side. 62% are members of the Crow Tribe. Our customers consist of Xcel Energy, Western Fuels Association, Wyoming Wine, and right now Rocky Mountain Power out of Hardin is taking some of our coal as well. As of 2017, we mined about 205 million tons. As far as our reserves, we have about 20 to 25 million tons of coal available, and based on our current production of 3.5 million tons, that will deplete the reserve in about 5 to 7 years. A little bit about reclamation of the 10,000 plus acres permitted. About half of our reclamation is in different stages. I had about a 5-minute clip that I wanted to show you today because of the Absaroka Mine is a very unique mine in regards to permitting and regulatory aspect. The Montana Department of Environmental Quality produced a video back in June to recognize the coordination between all the regulatory agencies that come out to the mine. Apologize for not being able to show that to you. It's a very good video. It shows a lot of nice reclamation, active area mining. You can actually download it from the YouTube video. If you just type in Montana DEQ and click on Montana Department of Environmental Quality, that video will come up. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's a very outstanding video. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
He's going to show it.
They're going to show the video. They're going to go ahead and show the video. The video is on YouTube under the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. I apologize for the delay and technical difficulties. We're talking about coal, but if you have a chance, I'd encourage all of you to get online and see them. But we also have opportunities on the southern end, Youngs Creek area, where we have a lot of good quality coal. Iso lagi sarpi gayon ay dekker bugale. Iso kishang maho logna salona. And venture the new agreement and what they're trying to accomplish in that area. Here to give us an update on all this is Todd Myers with Coal Peak Energy. So if you would, welcome to the podium, Mr. Todd Myers.
I'd like to thank Chairman Not Afraid for inviting me today, and tribal officials, thanks very much for the opportunity. Hopefully we'll have some good things to report today. I do have some slides, and while they're coming up, just a little quick background. Cloud Peak Energy is the third largest U.S. coal company by tons produced. We run the Spring Creek mine down by Decker. We have a company called Big Metal Coal Company, and that's the company that entered into some agreements with the Crow Tribe. We go to our safety share. One of the things our company focuses on is always safety. And so far in 2018, we have had 0 lost time accidents, which is just amazing. Last year, we were the second safest U.S. coal company, and it's 0 this year. We may be the first, so we're really, really proud of that. So as a safety share, I was looking around for something. We call them safety shares. We always start every meeting talking about safety. I saw this picture of a little kid reaching up to a stove, and it says, always make sure that somebody's watching the kids and appliances are turned off. This is actually my very first memory as a human being. I remember sitting in a high chair and putting a bag of potato chips in my parents' stove and watching it go up in flames. So that kind of stuck with me. So, as I said, Cloud Peak Energy works with Big Metal Coal Company, and we have a series of agreements with the tribe. I'm going to try and describe the agreements. They're kind of complex. I see Dennis Beardelbach is here. I'm sick you on him if you've got any specific questions. I'm going to do my best in a short amount of time, but again, they're pretty complex questions on contracts. One more, Molly. By the way, this is Molly Schwen, Cloud Peak Energy's Manager for Public Relations and Community Affairs. She's in our Billings office. So this is, if we can go back one, this is a picture of where our mine is. We run the Spring Creek mine, and this map shows basically the intersection of the Wyoming-Montana border and the Crow Tribe boundary as well. And our Spring Creek mine is in the upper right-hand corner, and it's an operating mine. It's been operating since the late 70s. We've produced up to 19 million tons in a year. We're currently producing 14 million tons. We've got all the infrastructure. We have a railroad out. So the idea is we acquired the Youngs Creek mine from Chevron and Consol in Wyoming, and we entered into option agreements with the Crow Tribe on the reservation for 3 separate areas. And the idea is we can build a road and get all of that coal through the Spring Creek loadout, so we don't have to spend all that capital, and then the mining is more likely to happen. So that's the idea. I had shown you 3 areas, and there are 3 separate agreements we have with the tribe. So if you go back to 2013, the agreements we signed with the tribe were, first of all, an exploration agreement where we could come out and drill the coal and prove what the coal was and where it was. The opportunity or the option to sign leases to be able to mine the coal. So the Absalaka mine has a lease with the Crow Tribe for the right to mine and sell the tribe's coal, and we would be doing the same thing. So we basically entered into an agreement to pay the tribe for the opportunity to enter into a lease. We've only recently done So the process we're in now is, you can see in this chart, we had the exploration agreement, and we finished all that work in late 2015. We have the option agreements. And in June of this year, we exercised one of the options for the, what we call the Upper Youngs Creek area. It's a drainage. And so we, in the Crow tribe, entered into an actual lease for us to mine coal. But we had to submit that to the BIA for approval. And we really don't have any rights to do anything until the BIA approves that. So we're waiting for the BIA to do that, and that may be 12 to 24 months until we get that approval. But we're making payments to the tribe now for the right to enter into that lease. But once we get going, we're going to have land that we have to finish acquiring the right to the surface so we can get to the coal. We're going to have to do permitting and environmental impact statement. We'll have to do quite a number of things before we actually get to the point of developing the mine and mining coal and generating more revenue for the tribe and for ourselves. And that includes developing the workforce. So this table shows that to date, Cloud Peak Energy and Big Metal Coal Company have paid the Crow tribe and Crow tribal members $13.3 million. And that's over the last 5 years. And we've done that without mining any coal or earning any money. So that's just all money that we've spent without getting anything back to this point. But that consists of $11.8 million for the right to enter into leases and for actually entering into a lease. We paid almost $500,000 to tribal regulatory agencies for things like cultural surveys. We paid almost $500,000 in scholarships. We've made community donations and cooperated with the tribe and government affairs for more money. So it's quite a bit of money we spent so far. Going forward, we'll be paying, roughly $1.4 million per year for the lease that we exercised for the next 3 or 4 years. We'll pay another $300,000 once we get approval from BIA for that lease. We'll keep paying $800,000 per year for the right to have the opportunity on the remaining 2 lease options. And then when we get to 2022, we have a big payment of roughly $10 million. And this is all before we start mining coal. Once we start mining coal, we'll look like Abselica Mine. We will pay production taxes to the tribe and we'll pay royalties to the tribe that will equal anywhere from 21 to 29% of the price we get paid for the coal. And that's not profit, that's the price. We can go to the next slide. Now this is a pie chart that shows if we got $15 for a ton of coal, the blue slices of pie are showing what we had to spend to get it out of the ground. The orange slices are what we would pay the Crow tribe. There's sort of a peach-colored slice, which is labor. And since most of the employees working at Big Metal will be tribal members, or at least that's what we're going to try and do, that also is a benefit to the tribe. And then the green piece is the profit we hope we would make. And then that has to go back to cover all the capital we spent to build the mine, which could be $150 million. So it's no small number. So I mentioned hiring tribal members. We did sign what we call the employment addendum with the tribe. That requires us to preferentially hire qualified tribal members for work for Big Metal on the reservation. And there's a secondary preference for military veterans. So we'll work with Terra to get that going, and in a few years we'll start developing that workforce. We also have scholarships. This year we've got roughly $82,000 available in scholarships. Molly can help you find where to find the applications for that. They're due by August 15th. We've given, as I said, over close to $500,000 in total, including this coming academic year that we would have funded. And most of our students that the money goes to typically end up at Little Bighorn College, Montana State University system, but we have some kids that go to Syracuse University and other places, but all tribal members. The questions we get are concerns about cultural resources, cultural sites, and as I said, we spent $500,000 with TIPO to hire 27 tribal members for seasonal work to go out and survey the land, and that's what these pictures show. And we identified 100 sites in total, including 60 new sites that nobody had known about before. And And then we asked the tribe, what do you want us to do with those? And we put that in an agreement so there's no question of what we can and can't do. And so there's some areas where the tribe has simply said, we do not want you to mine coal in that area. And it's in the agreement, and so we won't. But we always said that we want that to be the tribe telling us where to mine. We don't want to tell the tribe, because we're no experts on what's meaningful or not. Another question that we often get is about mine reclamation, what happens to the land. And again, Ipsonic was a good example. I urge you to go look at the video that Dave wanted to show. And it's beautiful reclamation up there, but there are federal laws that require us to put the land back. And being on the reservation will actually have more leeway, that there's some opportunity to maybe make it more useful for agriculture rather than restoring it to its native state, which is what the state of Montana usually likes, but we work with the tribe to figure out what's in the tribe's best interest. But we are required by law to do that, and this is a picture of Cloud Peak Energy's Cordero Rojo mine in Wyoming. We've gotten lots and lots of awards for final reclamation, and like most coal mines, you know, our folks are really proud about the work that we do, and we like to take people out and ask them to show us what they think is reclamation and what isn't, and they never get it right. So we're really proud of that. Molly does a lot of work reaching out to the community here on the reservation. She's the one responsible for making sure we provide donations and sponsorships to Crow Fair and to Native Days, which we do and are doing again. We focus on children, so a lot of contributions and donations to Head Start and elders. So every Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're giving turkeys, hams, blankets, we've given roasters, but that's where we really focus the dollars that we contribute. And those dollars are not required under any contract. Those are just things that we as a company think are the right thing to do, and that's what we're doing. You may have noticed that we have an office in Crow Agency next to the tribe's legal department. Natalie Cauliflower is there full-time. She's a full-time Cloud Peak Energy employee. And we've got Cameron Three Irons, we've brought on board as a liaison contract representative to help do outreach and help us interface and understand cultural issues and other issues we need to be aware of to be successful on the reservation. So with that, you know, we've had 5 years that we've been working through exploration and trying to get in a position where we felt we could enter into a lease to mine coal with the tribe. We've done that in June, and when we did that, we paid the tribe $1 million for the right to enter into the lease, plus $800,000 that we paid to continue the options with the other 2 leases. If we hadn't done that, our agreement would have ended and there would have been no more money coming to the tribe. I want to thank Chairman Nonafraid for working with us to help us get to a place where we felt that we could enter into the lease. We still have EIA approval, which is going to require their review of environmental impact statements. And we still have to finish finalizing deals with landowners so we can get to the coal that's underneath. And we've been working hard on that, and that's probably been the most difficult thing that we've been doing. But that continues, and we hope we're close. Our next payments to the tribe will be probably no sooner than next June. At that point, we have to make another decision whether or not we've got everything we need on surplus lands to continue. If we don't, it's another hard decision for us. So, but we're committed, and we've been spending a lot of money to be here. In addition to the $13 million we've given to the tribe and tribal members and scholarships and such, we've spent at least $2, $3, or $4 million on exploration and just internal costs that we do just for doing the work that we're doing. I'll close and just tell you a little bit about coal markets. The coal market is a very difficult place to be right now. Coal sales and production out of the Powder River Basin have fallen by 1/3 in the last 3 to 5 years. That's a huge, huge drop, which means there's an awful lot of production capacity out there, and it's absolutely killing prices for coal and making things very difficult for coal companies economically. In 2016, half the coal in the country was mined by companies that filed for bankruptcy. So we're continuing to work through. The U.S. utility industry is a difficult place to be selling coal. Cloud Peak Energy does export coal from our Spring Creek mine. There would be opportunities to export pro coal. We do that through Vancouver. We'll be exporting 5.5 million tons this year, mostly to South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. We did sell 2 boats to China. That's pretty unusual for us. We don't usually go to China. But we just announced that starting in 2021, we've doubled our export capacity out of Vancouver, and we'll be exporting 10.5 million short tons per year starting in 2021. And that's a big story and a big opportunity because where the U.S. is shutting down coal plants, Asia is building them like crazy, and the demand continues to grow substantially. So we're limited by the amount of capacity we can get at export terminals, but we're happy we've just doubled what we have. It still isn't as much as we would like to have, and we're going to work towards that. And in the meantime, we're struggling to keep our heads above water in the domestic markets. We think that Crow coal makes sense. Nothing's a slam dunk for spending capital in the coal industry in the United States anymore, but we're remaining committed to it. We're pushing forward, and we absolutely see value. So again, this agreement and our work with the tribe is very, very important to Cloud Peak Energy. Again, we thank Chairman Nonafraid and the executives and legislators of the tribe for all the work they've done with us over the years, and we look forward to moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd Myers. We have a couple more things on our agenda that are very important, one of which is the 100th year anniversary of the Crow Fair celebration. Another is a hunting rights case that's, we're going to get an update here after the Culture Commission report. So at this time, call upon Mr. Willie Stewart to come give his report.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, here, the Crow Culture Committee includes Mr. Tilt Noble, Mr. Hillwood Big Day, Mr. Gary Big Hair, and myself. We've been appointed as the Crow Fair managers, working closely with the rodeo, racing, and parade. We have a meeting Monday to finalize the Crow Fair giveaway and a schedule for the princesses and the rodeo princesses and rodeo queens at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to have Mr. Solomon Lillau. Solomon Lillau is the CEO, helping with the Crow Culture Committee on fundraising for the 100th anniversary of Crow Fair. Mr. Solomon Lillau will give you a detail as to the fundraising. Mr. Lillau.
Oh, Willie. Thank you, everybody being here today. Truly appreciate it. Legislators, Speaker of the House, Executive, all 4 officials, our visitors from coal companies. I kind of got into this this position by working with the Cultural Committee, and we've been meeting about different issues regarding our land, our cultural needs, as well as our elder needs. And so when Crow Fair came around, I was very interested in helping what I needed to help. And one of my strong points as a tribal member is fundraising. I'm connected to a lot of businesses down in Denver, and so the fundraising that I'm working on right now is fully to support Crow Fair. And so far we got two out of about 25, about 25 different companies. We got 2 confirmed right now, and like I said, I just wanted to say, when you guys go to Walmart, you know, Walmart's a big company, and so one of the companies that did confirm sponsorship was Walmart. So give your guys give yourself a round of applause because your money is coming back to Crow Fair now. And then the next one is the other one that confirmed is TransCanada. And so TransCanada is a large international energy company, and they are also sponsors of Crow Fair as well. And once we get closer to Crow Fair, we will definitely inform the community about who's our sponsors. So please, like I said, pray for our leaders, our legislators, our executive, our judicial. You know, keep praying for them because they need it. And also, thank you again for being here. I hope.
Thank you, Solomon. Next person we have on our agenda is representing the Crow Nation, not just one individual, but the nation itself. 38 million acres, Karukabiu, dwindled down to the 2.2 we have now. As we lost some of those lands, we lost some rights. And here, case law comes up at certain tribes, what have you, and we have other opportunities to regain those rights that we may have lost or that we have not asserted. Right now, we have a hunting rights case. Clavin Herrera is in court right now with the state of Wyoming and the United States of America on a hunting rights issue. It could have legal ramifications nationwide. All tribes are watching us right now. So to bring you a quick update right now, we have Kyle Gray. So Kyle, if you would, she told me her name's Kyle Ann, so that doesn't seem like a boy's name, right? Welcome to Crow, Kyle, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you. It is Kyle Gray. My forebears are actually Scottish, and it used to be a girl's name, but no more. In any event, I'm an attorney with Holland & Hart. We have offices around the Rocky Mountain West. I'm in the Billings office, so just down the road. I'll tell you a little story. This is, I guess, a year for anniversaries. I just learned it's the 100th anniversary of Crow Fair. Well, it's also the
type of situation, because now you can account for your tribal funds separately and then your 638 funds separately. So we're on the way to correcting these, but there was also some recommendations because of the poor audits, you know, however many years they're going back, of possible reassumption. And if that's the case, then we would have to agree with turning the court back into a CFR court, which the BI would administer and oversee. So these are just discussions, but the reality of it is we need to get it in compliance. We get it in compliance, then we maintain the service within the tribe. So that's what we're shooting for. And without having the audits done in time, that's another difficult part where they're more reluctant, meaning from the hierarchy of the Bureau of releasing funds to tribes. So the less funds released to tribes, the more hardship on the general fund it is again, because the general fund has to front the cost and then be reimbursed. And so if we don't have the funds to front the costs, then that's where we need to reanalyze. And a good demonstration of securing funds is like this recent jar that executive and judicial have done together on securing $500K for Head Start. Now there shouldn't be problems there with Head Start, because then the tribe can fully operate and function through a separated account, and it should be able to function for a quarter without having to pose hardship on the tribe. And that's for our next generations. Same thing goes for Head Start. I know I went off on a tangent from courts, but Head Start is in that same situation where if you don't have the cash flow, the feds are saying, well, if you can't continue it, then allow us to reassume. So in the realm of Head Start, their recommendation is, let's give Head Start to the college. And I said, we'll have that discussion with the college and we'll go forward from there. So as we're looking at how some of these grants affect the community, we're giving them to principal or folks who have their finances in order, because the Crow tribe has a large amount of issues to take on, and if we can have some of these organizations continue them, that's in the best interest of the tribe. So that's my update from courts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time in our program, we have on our agenda a Q&A session. And as I mentioned earlier, I will be yielding the floor to our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Gilbert Burdenbaum. So if you would, please welcome Gilbert Burdenbaum.
Thank you, Scott. I believe I got an extra microphone here. Testing. So far, we've been doing pretty good on our timing. I didn't have to stop the Cloud Peak. I think Cloud Peak went to 14 minutes and 49 seconds. So they didn't use up their 15 minutes. You still got about 11 seconds left. But what I'm going to ask you, good people, is that we're going to limit you to 5 minutes for your discussions. On the agenda, they're giving us 30 minutes. So if you want to start asking questions, come on up to the microphone, be respectful, and whoever you're addressing will answer your questions. Go ahead.
I'm addressing who can ever sit up there can answer this question. As a judicial employee, when will I get paid? I understand your financials, but as the other department's getting paid, I have bills and family to support as well. I'll address as well as JE. Currently, because of the backlogging payments with the drawdown cycles, we did give the order with the influx of the jar. We're hoping, we anticipate this week. Matter of fact, courts was supposed to be done Thursday. But we had some internal matters after we moved the server, MIP. Long story short, just technical difficulties, which is prolonging this payout right now. But the funds are there to get the court back in order. That's part of the deficiencies that we discussed on Thursday with DIA. So they were on board with it. I've asked Vienna to bring that up with the chief judge on Thursday, but the chief judge said he couldn't talk with us due to litigation between the court and executive. So that would have been updated to you all from the top down.
I'm speaking for myself and the staff. I don't know what's going on with the higher ups. That we're the ones in the trenches, and we're the ones suffering.
Understood. And this is the communication thing that we were talking about with legislature, where in the past we would relay it to a higher up and then it wasn't trickling down. And in many cases, we have issues with finance overall straight across the board in the tribe. So understanding to put these things in compliance, they've been taking priority. I feel your pain. We're also in the same boat, myself and the other 3 officials. We were also without payment for several paydays. So it just isn't one selected program that is in and out. We finally got transportation up to speed. Same thing there. We mitigated some issues. That was up for reassumption too as well. So being that they're a larger multi-million-dollar grant, that's where our focus is. But as far as, we're not saying courts is small, I'm not saying that courts is huge, a huge player. But the spot fires and what PIA prioritized, that's what we went to the table for to begin with. Joe?
I think that was said very well. As money comes available for each individual program, then